Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Zakir Muhammad Zakir Maini and my number metric is 88254929. And today I will be presenting about the first part of our source code, which is the to-do list source code. And the first line of the source code is include IO stream. We use include IO stream so that we can use C out and C in. Second, we use the include string. We use this to include the string library, which allows the program to handle and store text data type for task names and deadlines. And the third line is using namespace std. This to enables the use of standard library elements directly without needing to prefix them with others. So the fourth line is const int max equal 50. And this is to declare as constant integer name max with a value of 50. So this sets the maximum limit of tasks that the array can store. So the fifth line is the function signature, which we use the void add task parameters and we include all the parameters that we have used. This is to define the add task function. It has void return type, meaning it does not return any value back to what it was called. And next one, we have the if parameters count bigger or equal than max to return. This is the maximum limit check. Maximum limit check. This is a safety check with if the current number of tasks is equal to or exceeds the maximum limit, the function will immediately terminate to prevent an array overflow error. So next we have the cin.ignore. This is to clear the leftover new line characters in input buffer. It is important to put this before using getLine, otherwise the program will skip the task name input. And next we have cout name and getLine cin names count. The cout name is to prompt the user to type the task name. And next one is to read the entire line of text that typed by the user and store it into the names array at the current index count. The next cout we have the priority 1 until 3 and cin priorities. This to prompt the user for a priority level and stores the integer value into the priorities array at index using cin. And the next one we have the cin ignore parentheses. This is also the same as before to clear the input buffer again since the previous input used cin, a new line character is left behind. So this one is to ensure getLine works properly without being skipped. And next output we have cout deadline. This one is to prompt the user for the deadline and store the complete text into deadlines array at index count. And next we have statuses count equal incomplete. This is for automatically sets the status of the newly added task to incomplete in the statuses array at the index count. And lastly, we have the count plus task, which is the increments the value of count by 1. This signifies that a new task has been successfully recorded and the index is now ready for the next task. Thank you. That's all from me.
Assalamualaikum. My name is Aimee Amalia. Matrix number is AA251937. So next I will explain part 2 of the source code, which consists of the view task and update task function. So for the first line is create a function named view task. Void means the function does not retain any value. Then array in our code contains names, which is task name, priorities level, deadlines, which is task deadline, status, task status, and count total number of tasks. Cons means the data cannot be modified inside the function. So for the third line, is to check whether there are any tasks. If count equals 0, the program will display no task. Next is for start for loop. I equals 0 start from the first task. I less than count repeat until all tasks are displayed. I plus plus is move to the next task. So for the next is cout, line cout. Display the task number and task name. I plus 1 is used because user prefer numbering from 1 instead of 0. Next is to display the task priorities and display the deadlines, and also the display the task status inside the bracket. Then we put the bracket for end the for loop and also ends the function. So next function we have is update task is to the array we have is status, which is array of task status, and count for total number of tasks. So next line is integer ID. So to declare a variable name ID and use to store the task number inside in, the used to store task number entered by the user. Next is prompt the user to enter a task ID, which is cout insert ID. Next is cin ID is to read the task ID from the keyboard. Next line is if ID. That part is validate the ID and also ensure the ID is greater than 0 and also does not exceed the total number of tasks. Next is access the selected task status and also array start at index 0 and checks whether the current status is incomplete. And the next part is ternary operator. If status is incomplete, it change it to complete. Otherwise, change it into incomplete. And then see out the display a success message after the status change. And then put a bracket to end the if statement and also the end the function. So that's all from me.
Assalamualaikum. My name is Nurdia Shadira binti Nuruswan. My matrix number is 88250582. So next, I will explain the function of delete task. This function is used to use to remove a task from the to-do list based on the ID entered by the user. So for first line, first we declare the function name delete task and the arrays name, priorities, deadlines, and statuses. Store all the task information, and the parameter integer in symbol n count is passed by reference, which means any changes made to count inside this function will also affect the original value in the main program. So for the next slide, integer ID, cout insert ID is in ID. Here we create an integer variable called ID. The program asks the user to enter the task ID that they want to delete. The entered value is stored in the variable ID. For the next line is if ID is more than 0 and ID is less than equals to count. This is an if control structure. This is a validation check whether the program makes sure that whether the enter ID is valid or not. For example, if there are only 5 tasks, the user cannot enter ID 6. For the next line is for integer j equals to id minus 1, j less than count minus 1, and j plus plus. This is the for loop, and it is used to shift all tasks after the deleted task one position to the left. We use id minus 1 because arrays start from index 0, while the task IDs start from 1. If we delete assignment, the program moves meeting to index 1. So for the next line is the array names, priorities, deadlines, statuses at the index j equals to at the index j plus 1. These statements copy the next task's information into the current position. This ensures that there are no empty spaces inside the arrays after deletion. All task details such as name, priority, deadline and status are shifted together. And for the next line, count minus minus, it means that after deleting a task, the total number of tasks decreases by 1. So we reduce the value of count. And for the last line, cout, task deleted, it means that the program displays a message informing the user that the task has been successfully deleted. So in summary, this function validates the task ID, removes the selected task, shift the remaining tasks, update the total count, and display a confirmation message. So now I will explain the main function, which is
So for test case 1, I test the initial launch of the daily planner and to-do list system. When the program starts, the main menu is display these 7 options such as adding a new task, viewing task, updating task, status, deleting task, searching task, clearing all tasks and editing the task. At this stage, the user selects option 1, which is add new task. The system then allows the user to enter task details such as the task name, priority level and deadline. This output shows that the program launched successfully and the menu is displayed correctly. It also confirms that the system is ready to accept user input and perform task management function. For test case 2, I test the task display function by viewing all stored tasks. The output table shows all tasks in a structured format with 5 columns, which is ID, task name, priority, deadline and status. For example, task 1 is wash the dishes with medium priority and an incomplete status. Task 2 is clean the room with high priority, while task 3 is wash the car with medium priority. This output demonstrates that the system successfully retrieves and displays task information from the stored data. The table format makes it easier for users to track and manage their tasks efficiently. Therefore, the test case is successful because all task details are displayed accurately and clearly in the output table. So that's all from me.